Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean I had a bunch of really cool friends that got me into the game, and then once I got in and saw that there was crafting, I was hooked. I mean, the same thing happened for Alchemy on, or not Alchemy Online. Was it Alchemy?
Albion. Albion.
Anarchist? No, Anarchy Online. I absolutely despise Albion Online's crafting system, to be
Yeah, I
honest.
wasn't sure if you were talking about that one. It's not the greatest crafting system. I did like the harvesting.
Yeah,
Uh,
the harvesting was great, but it was still harvest a thousand of this, but it then combines down to maybe 10 combines of the primary item that you want to actually make,
which
because you have to turn it into this to then be able to use it in this.
I kind of
So
like that aspect because it meant that there was a job for just harvesters. There was a job for just
yeah,
crafters. And then there was a job for people to protect those people, as well as those who wanted to just go out there and pirate everything and kind of steal things from people. Anything that slows the game down, keeps people playing a little bit longer. Now, I'm not sure I like it where it's too long. You know, if you're going to be out there for 12 hours to make one item, that's, you know, you're going a little bit overboard with it.
yeah,
There has to be the right balance between it, but a lot of games are just too quick, just way too fast to get to the end. And, you know, the games are fun. They're supposed to be. If it's built right, it should be. So, you know,
yeah.
let me enjoy the process. You know, don't take it away from me too fast. Let's see. Notch says, can you imagine if an MMO had as much building as Fallout 4? Wow.
Uh,
Fallout 4, I, to this day, have still not beat simply because I got wrapped up in the building. I had my first couple of towns, and I wanted to make sure that when that acid, radioactive, whatever rain that would come in, I was completely protected, and you couldn't, like, redo the buildings completely, so I had to put, like, flooring in the roof to make sure that it was covered enough, and then I would go through and add like lamps and try to spice it up as much as possible. I put down my harvesting for water and the gun turrets, and my place was decked out long before it ever got attacked by its first super mutant raid. And once it did get attacked, I never even had to go back to protect it. It was already overkill. I love the building in that game. I got so wrapped up I didn't beat the game. I think the last time I went back, I found out I never even got to the very first main quest. All mine were side quests that I had done. And I played that game for like 80 hours plus. So if they could do that kind of building in an MMO, again, I sure hope that, you know, blacksmithing or crafting is a level in its own right, because I probably would never get out into the actual world to kill things.
yeah.
I know Cypher would probably be more than I would, because he loves building.
Yep. I
Oh,
would I mean I had just before the last time it asked me to patch, I was just getting into the building. Now I have like a 20 gig patch I have to do, and I have yet to have time to go to town to get it patched, because I can't do that kind of patch at home because of my internet.
Potatoes au gratin. Yeah, if you got a chanter you want to come out and join us, you are more than welcome. We'll get you in here. We do have a person right below us that is killing stuff, so haven't really been able to get too many mobs here to pull. I'm actually kind of pulling spiders up here, but if we get a couple more people, we might try lower Guck zone line if it's not already taken. That should be pretty good experience, although things can go very wrong down there pretty quickly. Let's see. I see a ranger, but no Hans.
Hello, how are you doing?
Hans Booby.
I'm going to kill you now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's here. He's just not playing Hans today. He's playing his shaman, who he's going full bore into now. I know he goes through different characters from time to time,
I do.
but it spices it up for him, you know, like whatever you got to do to keep the fun coming in.
Yep.
He did say he was pretty much done with his cleric. He was gonna drop kick him into a bucket, but then he realized, you know, the reses are just beautiful on that dude. And at some
I
point,
never get rid of my cleric. I'm just not gonna be
he might, if he didn't
doing
like
much
the
with
name,
him.
he'd get rid of him. start them all over from
That's
scratch.
true. It's true, but Drakmir is a pretty sick name. You gotta admit it.
Yeah, I would love to see you play your Shadow Knight more often, but I understand with that too. They're not completely 100% working on this server. The mitigation is kind of broken from time to time, and there's no real way to tell from day to day whether it's going to work or not.
I'd like to level them too.
Tara says she will pick you up over in Butcher Block and bring you over here. What were you saying? You'd like to do what now?
I'd like to play him more too. He's almost level 53 again.
Yeah, you kind of lost a few levels on that guy.
Yeah, because I was using him for dragons.
You need to get him up to about 55 before you'll see a real big. I got to get a C Invis item. Yeah, about 55 before you see your guy being able to actually tank somewhat well in Sav. 56, I think, was the turning point for me. It may have been mainly because of my gear. Yeah, but we're really looking forward to... Oh, let me go back. Really looking forward to the Pantheon stream tonight. If you guys have not heard already, they're going to be doing that around 9 Central Standard Time. I have no idea what time it is right now. Oh,
it is of the 6:30ish of the times in Central.
Now, out of all the MMOs that you've ever played, what do you think had the best combination between the fighting and the crafting?
I don't know. That's a really hard question.
Because some games do crafting incredibly well. In fact, there are games out there that just concentrate on nothing but crafting, and then there are games that concentrate on nothing but fighting, like that first-person shooter that you played with Doom. What's that one?
PUBG?
Yeah, PUBG. But finding the combination between the two, like that, I think that's the key.
I mean, I think as far as one of the best crossover kind of crafting plus the actual fighting and everything, I mean, I'd have to say it's kind of a tie between DAOC and Everquest too, because both of them had a crafting system that, while they weren't great quality equipment, well, actually that's not true, because for DAOC, before they brought out the expansion called Trials of Atlantis, your main template for your characters were involving crafted equipment. And the weapons you would get were sometimes crafted if you didn't get access to, say, Dragon Loot. And EverQuest 2, they had the heroic armor and weapons that you could get, and those were good enough to get by on until you got to a certain level. And then at those levels, you had to start getting raid dropped equipment.
Now, how do you feel about a game that's kind of like this, right? An MMORPG that doesn't have any armor drops. You know, something along the lines of all the creatures drop items that then can be crafted
like
into
Monster, stuff. Like Monster Hunter, kind of.
Maybe not that extreme. Maybe like they drop a emerald, you know, maybe an enchanted emerald that you need to turn into, you know, something nice, or you drop some mithril armor that then you can turn into, or not mithril armor, mithril bars that then you could turn into mithril armor, or nuggets, or, you know, ingots, whatever it might be, the more refined version or the more raw version, depending on the level of the creature.
Well, I mean, the game design that I have and have worked on, as far as not physically worked on it, but as a on paper project, is one where nothing is not crafted. Even the best equipment in the game is crafted, and all mobs only drop equipment, only drop items that they would have on them. So dragons would have dragon scales, meat. They'd have like their poison glands, things like that. And that would go towards different things like making poison or making dragon food, which would have like high strength and those kind of stats on it. But everything was crafted. And so you actually had two separate kinds of people that play the game. You had a crafter character only, and you had a fighter character only, and you shared the money between them, but you made your money through crafting or but item drops were never given to a player. They were given to the nation. And then through killing those mobs, you got the money to be able to buy equipment.
See, I don't know if I would like the nation getting the drops. I don't mind the player getting them and then taking them over and either crafting with that tune or giving it to a friend to craft for him. I do wish the crafting was just as arduous to level up as the leveling of your fighting is, so that there would be more of a divide between the two. Not everybody doing everything like in Everquest 2, where, you know, everybody was 3 trade skills at once, and they also were maxed out on their level. Just a little too quick in my book on that. Yeah, I do like that. The other thing I would throw in there would be the duration to take those refined objects or those raw objects and refine them, such as creating pelts would take you like 24 hours to dry them out, maybe another 24 hours to, you know, do it. So that it's not an instant thing like, oh, I just got a dragon tooth, now I'm going to go turn it in and get my cloak today. Well, yeah, I like to kind of try that out.
The way I had it designed is that you would have the fighters who are going out and they're getting the items. You'd have the crafters who made money by crafting, and they pulled from a pool of items. And if you wanted to make this really rare item, you would have to have the skill to be able to make it and have multiple skills to be able to make certain things. But you'd have tailors who tan hides and cure plus make actual cloth, and those would be sold so that, say, the next person down the line could take that and make it into armor or wraps for handguards, for swords, that kind of stuff. But that's me wanting to make it as realistic as possible.
Right. Hey, God, how you doing tonight, man? And he says, hi, Cypher.
Hey.
Hey, pre-TOA, you could make really good SI raid dungeon RVR temps.
Yep. And TOA just completely changed the game.
Yeah, I don't know on that one. I didn't play that.
Well, I have to say that while it completely changed the game, so here's what it was, is that you had equipment, you had to complete certain quests to get different scrolls or parts to complete quests. But once you got an item, then you would wear that item, and depending on what kind of mob you were killing or what time of day it was, that item would level up, and it had 10 levels. So you would essentially have certain items that were better than, say, the crafted stuff that you had before.
Now, how do you feel about items that level up with you? Because they did that with Destiny. Destiny had, you know, like you said, like 10 levels on the item. So when you first got a brand new piece, it may not be as good as what you're wearing, but you knew based off of its base stats that if you leveled it up, it'd be better than what you're wearing. Do you like things that kind of require your usage to get better?
I mean, it really is different based off of the system inside the game itself. But I didn't have a problem with it in some aspects on DAOC. But then whenever it came to RVR or realm versus realm specific fighting, a paladin could not be killed. I mean, unless they had no clue how to play their class. If they had the shield from TOA and they had the belt from TOA and they had their template set up correctly, they were literally not killable.
Yeah, but you're talking about PvP aspect of a game, right? Oh, I'm blind now. I might die
Yeah.
down here. I'm down at the ramp.
Where are you at?
At the ramp.
Okay,
Oh, might be
we got a mob here. I'm gonna slow
coming
the
up.
other one and root it, and then
Coming
I'll.
up.
You got?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Let me root the knight, and then I'll jump onto the shaman.
I'm slowing both of them. I just have auto attack always on. I'm blinded.
They had leveling items at DAOC with artifacts would unlock more stats or the use of abilities on the item. The same thing that they had in Destiny, for those of you who played that. It did kind of unlock new abilities, which I thought that was kind of a unique system. You don't really see that too often. That's a class, though, and it depends on what you're fighting and how they play. Sounds like some vamp salt.
Yeah, I didn't play Destiny, I don't think.
It's a first-person shooter. It's not really a... It is an MMO. I mean, you are playing it with massively amount of people, and it is a little bit of an RPG, just like everything these days seems to be a little bit of an RPG.
Yeah,
which is
everything is called roguelike and an RPG.
Yeah. But that's what I'm happy with, dude. I think RPGs, for me, I was always a fan of them, even back in the day. And to see them incorporate, like, the best of RPGs into every game out there, I'm okay with. But that's why I want to see MMOs kind of take the same turn. I want to see them incorporate other games into themselves, other genres, because they really haven't embraced that aspect. They haven't built like a city builder into their game. They haven't really done the crafting as well as some
I
of
would
these other
love
games
that.
do.
I mean, and that's kind of what Everquest or whatever the newest one was going to be called.
Everquest Next.
Yeah, Next. That's one of the things I really liked is that they were going to have that ability to build towns of your own, and not like some other games that you can build your own town. Well, it ends up being that you can get these pre-made models of houses and then slap them into a location, and boom, you're done. I mean. That other game I was talking about, where the whole PvP aspect of the game, that game you built walls. You had to actually go out and harvest the wood to turn into beams, and those were given to the actual carpenters who turned those into walls. And then you had the carpenters who would also have schematics that were given them by the guild leader, and they would actually build each house.
See, but
individually.
If you're going to do that, I would also like to see more rare ingredients, like maybe straw, right? Straw could be something in the game. And when you went to go fight creatures maybe made out of straw, right? You're thinking of some kind of scarecrow. He would drop straw off of those. So there would be the gathering that you could do, the chopping down trees, the harvesting of rocks, and then there would also be the harvesting of materials based off of the monsters' makeup themselves. That way you're incorporating both sides, the adventurers and the harvesters.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, with that game...
It's a lot of programming.
That game, it didn't have to be rare. Everything was hard to get. Everything was surrounded by really hard mobs. Everything was also being camped by everyone. So you would go in and say your guild needed 200 of this kind of wood. Your whole guild, or a portion of your guild, would go in, and you'd have people wiping out people so that they could get at those trees. And the people who were crafters like myself would go in, and we'd just harvest the trees, and we'd leave, and then everyone would come back into the area. It was really fun to watch, because it really was like animals that were scared of people. And as soon as everybody started walking away, you saw people start to come in and be a part of the landscape again. And
that's kind of cool, but do you find it where the trees grew back was kind of a natural sensation, or do you think maybe you should have had to have gone back and planted trees if they were, if an area was completely wiped out? I would imagine somebody would have to take the effort to do it.
I think we have our enchanter.
I tossed him an invite.
Nice. I have no buffs. I should probably be buffing people and stuff.
All right, you probably still have C2, right? I still have C2 on.
No, I have nothing.
Really?
I've been dispelled so many times.
I thought I'd be the first one to get dispelled completely, but no, my buffs are still going strong.
I slow everything, so they get on me as fast as they can.
Yeah, but I mean, I know we're asking for a lot. We're just kind of spitballing because we're talking about Pantheon.
Yeah.
We have no idea what direction they're going to go in. There's so many possibilities when you create a game these days. We're just kind of hyped up on it because we're hoping it's going to be as good as we're all thinking it should be. No way to tell, though. I wish, dude. I wish we could get in already and try it out. But even if we did, we wouldn't be able to talk to you guys about it.
True.
Which kind of sucks, you know?
I mean, we can't even talk to each other about it, even though we're playing the same game.
I know, right? We can't even communicate about it. That's going to be difficult. I'll be like, hey, help me over here, kill this mob, and like I'll already get booted out.
I can't see what I'm not allowed to come over to that dungeon because I'm not allowed to be told what dungeon or location that you're at.
You can't mention.
You need
a
res.
Dungeon.
Well,
you can't even talk about reses either. You can't talk about reses because that's part of the game.
I know is it a part of the game? Are they going to add that kind of stuff?
I don't know. Even if we knew, we wouldn't be able to say.
I know. I mean, that's preferential treatment right there. Silly, I mean, you gotta know to know.
NDAs.
If you don't know,
ridiculous. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of them, and you know, people are gonna talk about it. And what am I supposed to do when we do it on the streams when we're playing Everquest and somebody asks me how am I liking that game? I would just be like, no comment. That's ridiculous, you know.
Well, it's not that you can't comment your feeling.
No, you can't comment.
Can comment, yes, I like it, or no, I don't like it. Well, I guess you can't say that.
Did you read the NDA?
No, I gotta read it again. Oh, it's like being a cast member of Star Wars, or any of those movies.
Yeah.
The Walking Dead. I mean, they have a crazy NDA, I'm sure.
Shouldn't be that way. Should be open. Should be. Well, they will at some point. And if you guys are going to watch the stream tonight, you're going to get to see a little bit of that. Now, I'm not the one streaming it. This will be somebody else.
No, Carnage or someone.
Somebody Lee, I believe is the name of it. I have to look it up again. I wrote it down so that we could find it. It's 9 p.m. Central Standard Time is what we've been told. And they had one 2 days ago, right? It's been 2 days now. And that was the one you just watched, and that is of a dungeon. So if you guys want to check that one out, see what the dungeons are going to look like. I know Super Bits and Bob is kind of waiting to play on that one as well. For those of you that might want to group with that guy, pretty sure he's not going to play a shaman this time around. I've heard a little rumor that he hates shamans and.
He hates them.
Another one. I don't know.
I mean, he only played them on Everquest because he was forced to by the people who shall not be named.
Stardust, yeah, that is the rumor that I heard, that there is a stream tonight. Let me go back up into the chat and we'll see who is streaming that one. Unless you guys are still on, you can tell me who it is. You don't remember Decipher? I mean, it's here.
No.
I just had to look at it. Wow, you guys have been busy talking tonight. I must have passed it. Something Lee. What was it? Yeah, I don't see it on there now. It sits there. I just had to go back up. It's taken a heck of a long time to develop. You are absolutely right on that one. It was kind of discouraging. I actually went through several stages with this game where I thought maybe I wouldn't play the the game after all because it was taking so long. And my My experience with games that have taken a very, very long time to develop have not been outstanding. It's been kind of hit and miss with those. But I want to give this one the benefit of the doubt. I want to say this one's going to be different. I wouldn't suggest you guys going out and buying it yet. I would say wait, watch the videos, see what people say his first reaction is. If you're one of those people
there's so many mixed reactions in the chat on that video. Some people were like, it's too slow, the attack. I'm like, that looks like how I'd want it to look. I mean, it looks like real people fighting a mob, and it's not people just flailing their arms all over the place.
Yeah. Well, people are used to fast. They're used to instant gratification on video games and in everything in life. So if people are saying that it's too slow, it's probably not slow enough for me, but I'll take it because it's probably the best I'm going to get. I mean, like things that are slower. I like it where I can sit down and have a conversation. EverQuest 2, you couldn't have a conversation with anybody. Just constant killing.
The way that they have it, or the way they were doing it, because of the fact that during the different kinds of fights, they would have to actually sit down and med. I mean, you had fights that were lasting a good amount of time, and it just was really fun to watch that group make up. They also had time to actually get messages from the stream and actually talk about different aspects of the game. I think that's a good thing, though, is that you're going to have downtime, but you're also going to have to think about different mobs. Like they were talking about, at the moment, they don't have a way to dispel damage shields, and there was a damage shield that was wrecking them. So what they ended up having to do to be able to counteract that is they couldn't have auto attack on. They were just using their biggest abilities, so they were doing the biggest amount of damage that they could in one hit. And that's how they got through the fight, is not auto attack, but by actually having to use abilities. And also, the thing that they're talking about with the damage shields in that game is that even your abilities that do damage over time, like bleeding for rogues, every time that ticks, you're getting hit with a damage shield. So I thought that was kind of interesting as well.
I kind of like that, the idea, though, where, you know, you had to use your big attacks, but the fact that they had to stop and kind of talk to one another, that is the key that a lot of these other video games don't have, because you can keep making the same mistake again and again and again, but because people are so there's so much leeway to make those mistakes, you never really learn from it. You never have to communicate and find tactics.
Yeah,
and tactics make the game.
There's people that will get mad at you because you don't already know the tactics for a mob like that, and we're talking about mobs that are level 14. They're having a hard time to get through.
Well, that's more elitist kind of thing where they get mad at you for not knowing the tactics of a mob. I don't really prescribe to that. I don't really like it when players go that route, because there's always somebody brand new to the game. There's always somebody coming in completely new to not just that class, not just to that race, but new to the game. And they're trying to learn just like we all had to learn. They're going to make mistakes, and you got to be patient with people. If you make it where it's an uncomfortable environment and people can't discuss or ask questions or feel like you're there on their side, they just won't group with you. They're going to leave the game. And that may be what you want. You may want to just, get rid of all players that aren't super hardcore. I like to incorporate as many people into a game as possible. It makes the game feel more alive, and it makes the game last longer. You know, if there's a healthy population of different types of people.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jimmy Lee. Jimmy Lee is the name of the guy. They desperately need a big investor. I think they got some big investors. In fact, if you go to their website and look at the different investment packs that you can have on there, they have some for $10,000, I think, that you can invest in there. And there's several people who've already gotten that.
Yeah, they're out of them. They don't have any more available.
That's not to say that they got a lot of them. They only had like 100 or something to begin with.
The window
That was ridiculous anyways. I'm not paying $10,000 for a video game. Unless I'm developing it myself and I'm going to own that game when I'm done, I am paying $10,000. I'm developing a game right now and I'm not paying $10,000 for that game. That's just nuts.
Yeah.
That's hardcore. You got some money to spare. You're a rich little dude. So much the better if that's the game you're going to be sticking with for the next 10, 15 years. Might make it worth it. I don't want another MMO with spammy combat and rotations. They are a dime a dozen. I will second that 100%.
Yep.
There is something to be said, though, about a game that you can just jump onto for 20, 30 minutes here and there without worrying about having to get set up in a group and run to a destination and do all that. I completely understand that. I'm glad that there are MMOs out there that allow players who don't have a lot of time to still get their MMO fix. I personally think there's too many of them, and I want to see a few more hardcore ones, a few more challenging, slower paced games.
Well, that's one of the things that they did say is that for people that only have, say, 1 or 2 hours to play, that's about as long as it'll take to do a dungeon. If it's depending on the dungeon, of course, as well.
Well, and the group makeup and how quickly that you guys can organize and get in there.
Yeah.
That could make a big difference. We've we've taken a couple hours just to organize to go to a certain dungeon sometimes.
Yeah.
Charta can be one of those dungeons. Especially if you're going to like TOV. Getting to TOV is not the easiest. Let's see. I'd like to see a Pug-style game with a typical fantasy RPG-style classes and items. Ooh. What do you mean by Pug-style game? Are you talking about...
Like PUBG?
Well, no. I get that he's talking about PUBG, but I'm talking about, is he thinking of like a first-person shooter type game? Because I do remember them talking about making a Fallout or RPG MMO a while back. It got canceled due to legal wrangling of actually who owned the franchise and how it's went through so many different people's hands that it was a nightmare for them to figure it out. So they just canceled it. But that's the only like real first-person shooter RPG MMO that I could think of. I think there was one based off of a TV show, some sci-fi one that came out a while back, but that one didn't do very well. And it wasn't first-person; it was more like third. No, it wasn't Matrix.
Matrix had one.
Was it first-person though?
It was first, third.
Third person?
First or third.
Defiance. Yeah, there you go. Defiance. That's what it was based off of that TV show. And I'm blind. I'm no good at shooters. Never had the skills. I like shooters. I'm not very good at them. I'm right there with you on that. But I do like Halo. I like Gears of War. I can play those. Some of the Call of Duties from way back when. I'm definitely not a CSO or CSGO kind of player. Probably get my butt handed to me on that one. Then 2 or 3 seconds of loading in. But yeah, if that's what you meant by the PUBG as in first-person shooter, or did you mean just something that was PvP driven? Because you don't see too many of those either. You don't see too many PvP MMOs coming out these days. Let's see. That determines your skills, abilities, depending on what you equip. How would that work with a first-person shooter? Like, sniper being... Well, they did have, what was that one called? Firefall? Firefall was a MMO first-person shooter. And you could pick certain classes, sniper, warrior type thing. You did get certain weapons that they were better at, but everybody could use pretty much any weapon if they wanted to. So you could use a sniper on your warrior. It just wouldn't be very effective. They were better at like Gatling gun, machine gun type of playthrough. It was fairly unique concept. That one actually had huge area for you to fight in. The downside to it was that you could only open it up once you guys had captured different nodes there, and every so often, I think they call them the Chosen would come back and retake those things if people weren't defending them. So at like 1, 2, 3 in the morning when nobody was on, all these places would get taken over, and when you logged on the next day, you'd have to retake all these places and earn some experience, some loot, etc., etc. But it's kind of unique. I like the idea behind it. Never got too far into the game. I think I only made it to like the second town. But again, not too huge into first-person shooters either, so that's probably why. I definitely go third person.
Food and drink again.
I think I have a little bit on me. I could trade you some. Let's see. I'd like to
I'll
see...
just summon some.
If I invested 10K into a game, I better have a boss named after me and several items, and have God mode if I choose to log on. Right? Something. Right? Golden toilet seat with their logo on it or something. Let's see. Skype. Who did we get a message from? To link. So he didn't say you wanted to join. Alright, I am no good at shooters, never had the skills. The weird thing about Defiance is that the game came out before the show, so there was nothing for players to initially build off of the story-wise in the beginning. I actually started watching the show before I even found out about the game, and when I decided to go in there and try out the game itself, it was a little overpriced, and like you were saying, there just sounded like there wasn't a lot of content available, so I decided to hold off and never went back to actually give it a shot. It's just too many games, too many MMOs. There was a website that I looked at a while back that showed you the top 100 MMOs coming out that year. Surprised me that there was 100 MMOs coming out within a year, because there's not enough market for that. There's no way there are enough MMO players for 100+ video games in 1 year alone. When you have to invest years of game time into an MMO, or maybe you shouldn't, maybe you should, I don't know, it depends on how you feel about that. I like having an MMO that I can play for years. That's what kind of separates an MMO versus a single-player game. Single-player game is maybe a week, 100 hours, 150 hours, depending on how long the game is, and then you're done. You're on to the next one. An MMO, you're going to get thousands of hours, hopefully, out of that, easily. Yeah, Tara says, I heard it got better as time went on, but the show got canceled after 3 seasons. I lost interest in the show as well. It went down a pretty ridiculous path. Crowfall and Camelot are supposed to be PvP focused, but those are still in development. That's how Keeps worked on DAOC as well. Kind of interesting, the different routes each MMO has decided to go. And yet none of them have been too terribly successful. Can you think of one, Cypher, that has done really well? Maybe comparison to, well, maybe not World of Warcraft. That's just like the top of the line, but something that's lasted at least as long or close to as long as EverQuest?
I'm sorry. Was that? I was making sure that we called CC.
And I was just wondering if you know of an MMO that's lasted for a decent amount of time. It seems like they go extinct after just a few years these days.
I mean, EverQuest.
Well, besides EverQuest or World of Warcraft.
Like
DAOC is no longer a thing.
Tantra Online is still on. Tantra Online is still a game. That has never changed companies, and it's been online for over 20 years now.
Tantra?
And it's not changed at all. Tantra Online.
I don't think I've ever heard of
It's
that.
a really cool game. I played a long time ago. Actually, also I keep saying Alchemy, but Arcanist Online is still pumping and making expansions.
RuneScape? People still play RuneScape. God only knows why, is what Dim's saying. You know, if you get into a game that you really enjoy, I could see it being very hard to walk away from it, even when the graphics and the storyline and like the in-game content just has not gotten updated in a long time. Guild Wars is another one. Final Fantasy has been around for like 15 years maybe. I always wanted to get into Final Fantasy. I've loved the franchise, but every time I look at that game, it kind of stops me from getting into it. Not that it looks bad, it just looks somewhat somewhat different from the Final Fantasy games that I kind of grew up playing. If that makes any sense. It just doesn't look like what I want it. Wow, everything down here is camped. Is there one that you would have preferred that stayed open?
Yes. By the name that I knew it, it was called Forensis Online.
Oh, Pretzel's down here.
But it ended up going through 3 different name changes as different companies got a hold of it, and then it just disappeared in China or Japan or somewhere. It's not even available anymore as a game.
Not even as an emulator?
Nope.
Oh,
It's gone.
You just, at the time, you never think to record these things. You never think to get a copy of the actual programming, if it's even possible. They kind of guard that stuff, you know, religiously, but... Yeah, like the old movies, the old things you used to watch on TV that people didn't videotape, like Elvira. You know, she was doing a reward giveaway type thing. She wanted a few of her episodes that the film company, the actual people who produced her show, did not save. And so she was saying, I'll offer you money. If anybody recorded those on any quality whatsoever, even VHS tape, let me know and I'll pay you for it. You know, these video games that we play, we just assume that they're always going to be there, and sometimes they're not. That's just, it sucks. That's why I don't like Steam. I want to keep a physical copy of the games that I have.
Like,
Hey guys, and welcome to the disembodied voice of AC Gamer. We are definitely going to be doing a lot more series in the future, but here are a few of them that you guys might find interesting. Of course, you're more than welcome to check them out. I would love to hear your comments. Again, if you do enjoy these videos, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe. It's definitely the indicator that I use to tell if you guys want to see more videos like that, of that particular game style, of that you know, series in the long run. So when you guys leave comments down, it helps me decide whether we should keep doing it, as well as whether you want to see games like that in the future. And here are a few of them right here. I kind of picked out a few of different genres. We will be doing spotlights for other YouTubers in the future. So if you want to get a little shout out, definitely let me know. If you group with me, chances are you will get a shout out in here eventually. But for now, these are just 4 series that I have that I feel like could use a little bit more attention, and that you guys might actually enjoy as well. Thanks again for watching, guys, and we will definitely catch you all next time.